The call comes at 2:47 in the morning. Ivy knows before she answers. She doesn't know how she knows. She just does. The way you know when weather is about to change before the sky shows you anything. The way her body has been learning, these past 4 months, to trust itself again. She picks up. Jeffrey's voice is completely controlled, which means something is very wrong. My father lands at Incheon at 6 this morning, he says. He is coming with my uncle, my older brother, and the family attorney. A pause. I need you to know before you hear it from anyone else. Ivy sits up in the dark of her apartment. What does he want? A silence that tells her everything before the words do. He wants me to end this. Jeffrey's voice doesn't change. Not 1 degree. He has given me until Sunday to make a decision. The business, the family name, the inheritance, or you. Another pause. He believes the choice is obvious. The Seoul night presses against her window. Ivy breathes. Jeffrey, she says quietly. Yes. What do you believe? The silence this time is different. Warmer. Absolute. I believe, he says, that my father has been making my choices for 36 years and that his record is not good. She can hear something in his voice underneath the control. Something that has made a decision so deep it doesn't even need to announce itself. I also believe that I will not make this harder for you than it already is. If you need to step back from Jeffrey Park. Her voice is quiet, firm. The voice Nana May gave her. Don't you dare finish that sentence. A beat. Okay, he says. Okay, she says. Ivy. Yeah. He is not a gentle man. Neither, she says, is anyone who ever tried to make me small. She reaches for the lamp, turns it on, sits in her own light in her own apartment in her own chosen life. I'll see you in the morning. She hangs up. For a moment she just sits there. Then she calls Nana May. It is almost 8 in the evening in Atlanta. Nana May answers on the second ring. I was wondering when you'd call, Nana May says. Before Ivy speaks a word, Ivy closes her eyes. How did you know? Because Halmoni called me 3 hours ago. Halmoni called you? You don't speak the same. Baby. Nana May's voice is warm and completely unimpressed by logistics. That woman and I have been communicating just fine since the day we met. Some things don't need words. A pause. Now listen to me, Ivy Jean. Listen carefully. I'm listening. You did not survive everything you survived. Every room that tried to make you invisible. Every person who tried to use your love against you. Every single day you spent rebuilding yourself in a foreign city. To fold now. Nana May's voice is the thing Ivy was built on. Solid. Permanent. Real. You hear me? I hear you, Nana May. You stand up straight. You look that man in the eye. And you let Jeffrey be Jeffrey. A beat. That boy loves you in the way your grandfather loved me. I recognized it the moment I saw his face at that airport. That kind of love doesn't fold under family pressure. It clarifies. She pauses. Let it clarify, baby. Just stay standing. Ivy breathes. Thank you, she whispers. Don't thank me. Get some sleep. A pause. And Ivy. Yeah. Wear something that costs something. First impressions with fathers are about respect, not performance. Let him see who you are before he decides who he thinks you are. Ivy almost smiles. Yes, ma'am, she says. If that opening already has your heart racing, drop a like right now, because what's coming next? Nobody is ready. She doesn't sleep much, but she gets up at 5, showers, and stands in front of her wardrobe making the choice Nana May prescribed. Not armor, not performance, herself. She chooses a deep burgundy blazer over a cream silk top, her locks pinned back with the gold cuffs, minimal jewelry, good shoes. She looks in the mirror for a long moment. She looks like a woman who knows exactly who she is. She takes the subway to Jeffrey's building because she always takes the subway. She has never let him send cars to her in the morning because some habits are about maintaining your own center of gravity, and hers is important to her. She is halfway up the lobby steps when the doors open, and Park Sung-jin walks out. She knows it is him immediately. He is where Jeffrey gets the height, the jaw, the quality of presence that fills a space without trying. But where Jeffrey's eyes hold that complicated depth, the thing she's been slowly excavating for 4 months. His father's eyes are simply cold. clear and cold and already measuring everything about her in the 3 seconds before either of them speaks. He is flanked by a man who must be the uncle, broader, shorter, disapproving before she's opened her mouth, and a younger man who has Jeffrey's face but none of his stillness. The brother, restless energy, expensive coat, the look of someone who has been sent on a mission he is personally enjoying. Behind them, a man in a gray suit with a leather folder. The attorney, for men. 7 in the morning. On the steps of the building where her exhibition still lives. Ivy stops. She does not step back. She stands exactly where she is and meets Park Sung-jin's gaze, and she does not look away. Ms. Madison, he says. His English is precise, formal. Each word placed like furniture in a room arranged for maximum authority. I was told you would likely arrive this way. Predictable. He says the last word not cruelly, just factually, like a notation. I would like to speak with you before you see my son. Good morning, Mr. Park, she says. Her voice is even. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Something moves in his expression. Faint. She catches it and files it. He expected a different response. Something more deferential or more defensive. She gave him neither. Walk with me, he says. It is not a request. She walks. He takes her to a coffee house half a block from the building. Quiet at this hour, a handful of early commuters, nobody paying attention to a Korean patriarch and a black American woman sitting across from each other at a corner table with everything between them unspoken. He orders for himself without asking her. She orders her own. He notes that, files it, says nothing about it. My son, he begins, has built something significant. 37 years of my investment, my guidance, my sacrifices. He wraps both hands around his coffee cup and looks at her the way people look at problems they are confident they can solve. He has also, in the past year, made a series of decisions that concern me deeply. His divorce. His restructuring of certain business arrangements that were profitable and stable. And now, he pauses. This, she says. You. He says it without inflection. An American woman. A curator. Someone with no family connection. No business relevance. No. Mr. Park. Quiet. Absolute. I'm going to stop you there. He stops. Actually stops. I understand that in your framework, I don't make sense for your son. She holds his gaze. I'm not Korean. I'm not from a family your network recognizes. I came here with a suitcase and a job and I built something real in a city that was completely foreign to me. She pauses. And I understand that none of that fits the plan you had. He is very still. But I need you to understand something about me before you finish your argument. She leans forward slightly. I am not here because your son is powerful. I am not here because I needed rescuing or stability or someone to make my way easier. I was building my way before Jeffrey Park knew my name. She pauses. I am here because your son, the real one, not the performance of him, is someone worth standing beside. And I am someone worth standing beside him. She holds his gaze. That is the only argument I'm going to make. You can do what you want with it. Park Sung-jin is quiet. For a long time, he looks at her the way she imagines he looks at contracts that have surprised him. You are not afraid of me, he says. No, sir, she says. I'm not. Most people are. I know. She picks up her coffee. Most people probably haven't had an anime. Something happens in the corner of his eye. The faintest thing. Not a smile. She doesn't think this man smiles easily or often. But something that acknowledges, in spite of everything, that she has said something he did not expect. He leans back. My son called me this morning, he says. Before you arrived. He looks out the window at the Seoul street waking up outside. He told me that he intended to transfer his personal shares, his portion of Park Industries, into a blind trust. Outside my control. Outside the family structure. He pauses. As of 6 this morning. Already done. Ivy is very still. He did that before I got here, she says. Before I landed, Sung-jin says. Last night. He turns back to look at her. While he was calling to warn you, the coffee cup is warm in her hands. Jeffrey, who acts on decisions the moment they are made, who doesn't wait for permission, who chose the direction and then moved in it the way he said he would. Her throat tightens. He didn't tell me, she says quietly. No, Sung-jin says. I suspect he didn't want you to feel responsible for it. He looks at her for a long, assessing moment. My son has not made a decision based on anything other than calculation for 15 years. Not one. He pauses. Until this year. She waits. I came here, he says slowly, like a man revising a document in real time, to end this. That was my intention. He sets his cup down. I am a man who executes his intentions. I know, she says. I am also, he says, a man who built an empire by knowing when a variable he did not account for is more significant than his original calculation. She looks at him. You, he says, are a variable I did not account for. Jeffrey is in his office when she arrives. He is standing at the window, the 42nd floor view, soul spread below him like a circuit board, and he turns when he hears her and she looks at his face and she sees it immediately. He is braced. For what she might say. For the weight of what he did. You transferred your shares, she says. Yes. Before your father landed. Yes. Without telling me. He holds her gaze. I didn't want you to carry the decision. It wasn't yours to carry. It was mine, and it was already made. He pauses. I made it the night you said I'll be here while you do. I just executed it when the moment required it. Ivy crosses the office. She stops in front of him. She looks up at him. This man who learned control as survival, who built walls to exact specification, who stood alone on the other side of all of them until the night a rooftop party cracked both their worlds open, and she puts her hand flat on his chest. His heart is beating harder than his face is showing. She feels it. You gave up your inheritance, she says quietly. I restructured my assets. His jaw tightens slightly. I didn't give up the company. I removed my father's ability to use it as a weapon. He pauses. There is a difference. Jeffrey, I would have done it regardless, he says. The business arrangements I've been changing, the direction I've been moving, this was the next step. My father's arrival simply accelerated the timeline. She looks at him for a long moment. Your father, she says, is downstairs. Something moves through his expression. I know. He wants to see you. I assumed. Jeffrey. She takes her hand from his chest, takes both of his hands in hers. He looks down at them, her hands in his, and she watches something in his face go very quiet. Your father said something to me this morning that I think you need to hear. He waits. He said you haven't made a single decision that wasn't purely calculated in 15 years. She holds his gaze. Until this year, Jeffrey is still. He said that like it meant something to him, she says gently. Not the business, not the shares, the fact that you are feeling something again, making choices from it. She squeezes his hands slightly. I think underneath everything he came here to say, underneath the money and the family honor and the attorney in the gray suit, I think your father missed his son. Jeffrey's jaw works. Once, he looks away from her, out at Seoul. She sees him doing the thing she loves most about him, actually processing something instead of controlling it, actually feeling it move through him. He was not a gentle father, Jeffrey says quietly. I know. He doesn't know how to. He stops. I know that too. She moves to stand beside him at the window, both of them looking at the city. You don't have to have a perfect relationship with him, Jeffrey. You don't have to give him everything he wants. You don't have to forgive things that haven't been addressed. She pauses. But I think you need to be in the same room with him and say the things that have been sitting in you for 15 years. For yourself. Not for him. He is quiet for a long time. Then quietly. You are the only person who has ever said that to me. I know, she says. That's unfortunate. She looks up at him. You've been surrounded by people who either feared you or needed something from you. Neither kind tells you the truth. He looks at her. You tell me the truth, he says. Every time, she confirms. A beat. Even when it's uncomfortable? Especially then. She steps back and picks up her bag. Go see your father, Jeffrey. I'll be at the gallery. She pauses at the office door and looks back. And Jeffrey? He's watching her the way he always watches her. Like he is memorizing something he intends to keep. Whatever he says to you in that room, she says. You know who you are now. Don't let him take that back. She walks out. She is hanging a new piece in the gallery. A young sculptor from Busan, brilliant and terrified, who reminds Ivy of herself 3 years ago, when the doors open behind her 2 hours later. She expects Jeffrey. It is not Jeffrey. It is Nathan. He looks different than the last time she saw him. Less polished. The easy confidence still there but thinner now. Like a coat worn too many seasons, starting to show the underlayer. He has the careful energy of someone who has rehearsed what he's about to say. Twice, at least. I'm not here to start anything, he says immediately. Hands up slightly. The reasonable voice. She knows it, she's learned its edges. I just need 5 minutes. Nathan. She doesn't stop adjusting the sculpture's mounting bracket. The last time you said 5 minutes was in this building, and it ended with Jeffrey Park explaining your sole business connections to you. She glances at him. How did that work out? A flash of something behind his eyes. Gone fast. I deserved that. He steps further into the gallery. Ivy, I'm not here to get you back. I know that's done. He stops a few feet away. I'm here because there's something you need to know. About Jeffrey. She sets down the mounting tool. She turns. She looks at Nathan Webb fully, completely, the way she looks at art she's assessing, searching for what's real underneath the surface. Talk, she says. There's a man, Nathan says slowly. Park Industries, the old arrangements Jeffrey's been walking away from. One of the people attached to those arrangements is not happy about the changes Jeffrey is making. He's been building a case, documentation, transactions that could be misrepresented. He pauses. He was going to go to the financial regulators next week. But now that Sungjin Park is in Seoul, he's changed his approach. He's going to go to the father instead. Use the father to pressure Jeffrey back into the old structure. Ivy is still. How do you know this? Nathan's jaw tightens. Because he came to me first. Thought I'd have leverage on Jeffrey through you. His eyes meet hers. I told him no. She looks at him for a long moment. Why? She says. Because, he stops. Starts again. Because what I did to you was wrong. And I know that. And I'm not. He exhales. I'm not a good man, Ivy. I've never been who you thought I was. But I'm not that. I'm not going to let someone use you as a pressure point when you never did anything to deserve it. The gallery is quiet around them. Ivy breathes. She thinks about Nana May. Some people show you who they are by what they refuse to do when they could. What's his name? She says. Kwon Dae-young. He reaches into his coat and produces a folded envelope. Everything I know is in there. Dates, transactions, the approach he made to me. He holds it out. Give it to Jeffrey. She takes the envelope. She looks at Nathan for one long, quiet moment. Why are you still in Seoul? She asks. He almost smiles. Almost. Turns out I made some actual professional connections here. Nothing to do with Mina. Just, he shrugs. Trying to build something that's actually mine. She nods slowly. Nathan, she says. Yeah. Don't come back here. She says it without anger. Without drama. Just cleanly, clearly, the way you close something that is finished. This was the right thing. I see that. But we're done. Completely. This is the last time. He nods. I know, he says. He walks out. She stands in the gallery holding the envelope. Then she picks up her phone. Jeffrey arrives in 20 minutes. She has never seen him move fast before. He is always deliberate, measured, everything at exactly the pace he chooses. But he is through the gallery door in 20 minutes, and when he sees her standing there, envelope in hand, something in his expression cracks open with relief before anything else. You're okay, he says. I'm fine. She holds up the envelope. Nathan came. His expression shifts. Nathan. He brought you a warning. She crosses the gallery and puts the envelope in his hands. Kwon Dae-young. Apparently he was going to use your father's visit to pressure you back into the old structure. Jeffrey opens the envelope. She watches him read. She watches his face do the thing it does when he is processing something at full speed. Still on the surface, an ocean underneath. Nathan brought this, he says. Yes. Why? He said because he's not that man. She pauses. I believed him. Jeffrey is quiet for a moment. Then, and this is the thing about him, the thing she keeps discovering, he simply accepts it. No performance of disbelief, no macho resentment. He looks at the documents and he nods once. Quan has been a problem I was managing, he says. This accelerates the solution. He looks up at her. I'll have this handled by tonight. I know you will. She pauses. How did it go with your father? Something shifts in his expression. She waits. He said, Jeffrey stops, looks at the gallery wall, at her 4 canvases from What Water Remembers, still hanging, still alive in the afternoon light. He said my mother would have liked you. He pauses. She died when I was 11. He has never, in 25 years, volunteered a comparison to her. He is quiet. Not once. Ivy's chest fills with something slow and warm. Jeffrey, she says softly. He's not a changed man. He turns back to her. I'm not telling you it will be easy. He has opinions that are not going to disappear because of one conversation. He holds her gaze. But he said, and I am translating closely, that any woman who sits across from Park Sung-jin at 7 in the morning and doesn't move her chair backward is worth the complication she creates. She almost laughs. High praise, she says. From my father? He raises an eyebrow slightly. It is the highest praise. She looks at him. He looks at her. The gallery holds them both, her work on the walls, soul outside. Everything they have built and survived and chosen surrounding them like a held breath. I have a question, Jeffrey says. Ask it. He reaches into the inside pocket of his jacket. She sees the box before she understands it. Small, dark velvet. Traditional in its dimensions in the way that only things made by hand for a specific purpose are traditional. Her heart stops. Starts. Does something she doesn't have vocabulary for. I was not planning this for today, he says. His voice is the most unguarded she has ever heard it. No architecture, no careful arrangement. Just him. I had something planned. A trip. A particular evening. Something properly organized. He pauses. But my father is in this city and Kwon Dae-young apparently thought my life was leverage and Nathan Webb just walked into your gallery and did the one decent thing he's likely done in years. He stops. Collects himself. And you are standing there looking at me the way you look at the Osei piece, and I find I cannot wait for a properly organized evening. He opens the box. The ring inside is not what she expects. It is not the kind of ring a billionaire buys to make a statement. It is a thin band of gold, real gold, warm and honest, set with a single dark stone that catches the gallery light and holds it the way water holds color. Simple. Exact. Like something chosen by someone who was thinking about her and only her. Halmoni's stone, he says quietly. From her own ring. She gave it to me 3 weeks ago when she found out I hadn't asked you yet. A pause. She said, and I am quoting, stop organizing and start living. Ivy's eyes are bright. She is not going to cry. She is absolutely going to cry. Jeffrey Park, she says. Ivy Madison, he says. And then he says, you told me the night we met that you didn't need saving, that you needed to be met. He holds the box open between them. I have spent 4 months trying to be someone worthy of meeting you. Not perfectly, not without mistakes, but genuinely, and in the direction of better, and with you as my truest reason. He pauses. I am not asking you because I need you. I am asking you because I choose you. Every version of you, the curator, the painter, the woman who takes the subway on principle, the woman who sat across from my father at 7 in the morning and didn't move her chair. He looks at her completely. Will you let me spend the rest of my life being met by you? The gallery is perfectly quiet. Soul breathes outside. Her 4 canvases hold the light. Ivy Madison, who arrived in this city with a suitcase and a broken trust and a grandmother's voice in her chest and the absolute refusal to become less than she was, looks at Jeffrey Park and she doesn't hesitate. Not for 1 second. Yes, she says. He slides the ring onto her finger. Halmoni's stone. Warm and exact and hers. He stands and she looks up at him and he looks down at her and they are both, in this moment, exactly where they chose to be. He kisses her. For the first time. Soft and certain and entirely private even in a room with windows. The kind of kiss that isn't a performance and isn't a statement and isn't anything except 2 people who found each other in the wreckage and built something true from what remained. When they separate, she presses her forehead to his jaw for 1 moment. He wraps 1 hand around the back of her neck, gentle, warm, his, and says softly into her hair, Sarangi, I love you too, she says. And your grandmother has excellent taste. He laughs. Actually laughs. And somewhere in Atlanta, Nana May puts down her phone after a text that just reads he asked and says to her kitchen and her evening and her 37 years of knowing what the right kind of love looks like. Took him long enough. 3 days later, in a private dining room at the top of Park Industries, there is a dinner. Jeffrey and Ivy. Sungjin Park, who arrives exactly on time and says almost nothing for the first 40 minutes, and then, when Ivy describes the grief series and what it means to her, says something in Korean that makes Jeffrey go completely still. What did he say? She asks later. Jeffrey is quiet for a moment. He said, Jeffrey says carefully, she sees things the way your mother saw things. Don't be a fool about it. Ivy takes his hand. Halmoni is there, 78 and absolutely in charge of the table, who makes sure Ivy's tea is always full and who says something at the end of the evening that his cousin translates as, I told you all. From the beginning. Nobody listened. And 3 weeks after that, in a video call that lasts 2 hours and involves significant cross-cultural hand gestures and Dominique on Ivy's end and Jeffrey's cousin on his, Nana May and Halmoni finalize 2 agreements. First, the sweet potato pie recipe crosses the ocean. Second, the barley tea recipe comes back the other way. Third, and this is not discussed but both women understand it completely, the children of the people they love are in good hands. That is all that matters. That was always all that mattered. What water remembers, that it always finds its level, that it holds the shape of what it loves, that it arrives. Always, it arrives. And that is the whole story. Ivy Madison came to Seoul with a suitcase, a broken trust, and the refusal to become less than she was. Jeffrey Park had built an empire and lost himself inside it. One rooftop, one sentence, one night that destroyed everything that was never meant to last. And from the wreckage, 2 people who chose each other. Not from need, not from rescue, from the fullest, most honest versions of themselves. That is the only love worth having. That is the only story worth telling. If the story moved you, drop a red heart right now. Share it tonight with someone who needs to be reminded that the right love doesn't shrink you. It sees you, all the way down, and it stays. Thank you for watching Ivy and Jeffrey's complete story from beginning to end. This has been their world. We'll see you on the next one.